Hey everybody, welcome to the Save the CFPB podcast. Sorry, didn't start with the song on there. Had to go back and start with the song on. Got a little loose mic issue, but we can fix that. Anyways, it's episode 25 of the Save the CFPB podcast. I'm looking around. It's okay. Nobody's watching live, so I don't have to feel bad that I'm not starting off, on a great foot. My desk is very messy. Look, I got bits there. That's from me. I got Optimus Prime is upside down and he's got a microphone attached to him. Solved Rubik's Cube. Okay, but then look, unsolved Rubik's Cube. Maybe we'll do that later. Here's a rubber band. What's that for? I don't know. All sorts of just garbage. Just garbage. Should clean up, don't clean up. That's my life. And let's get started. So first, let's talk about the CFPB. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis in the law called the Dodd-Frank Dodd-Frank Act. I tried to smush it all together there. So the Dodd-Frank law created bill becomes law, an act is a law, whatever. Um, that law created the CFPB and added a lot of responsibilities that had been spread around other government agencies into this newly created agency. And also gave it some new authorities to monitor banks and other consumer markets where, you, the average person, not businesses or investors, are investing your money, um, mortgages, student loans, car loans, things like that. So why do we have to save the CFPB? Well, the CFPB's funding was cut by almost 50% in the big bill, and we need to get that funding back so that we don't defund the police, so to speak. We don't, break the markets by not having a watchdog out there to make sure consumers aren't getting defrauded, ripped off, charged extra, etc. All this stuff does happen and will happen if we don't do something about it. I have worked for the Consumer Financial Protection for 13 years now. This many plus this many. Thank you. And has been the greatest work of my life. I love it. But here today, I'm not representing the government or the CFPB. I'm not representing my union, NTEU 335. I'm just representing myself. My views are my own. So let's flex that First Amendment in oxygen not included. So we're gonna have the duplicates run around. This is the base that we played in a previous episode. I think it was just 2 episodes ago, maybe. So it's maybe episode 23. If you're behind, feel free to go back. You're not gonna miss anything. I'll keep you up to date. First, I did want to call somebody out. I'm calling somebody out. Let's see if I can actually do it in a quick manner. I bet I can't. But we just had a nice whoops, this is not what I wanted. Oh, what's that? This is from an old video. We don't need it anymore, so I'm going to delete that part. There we go. I'm going to move me. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm going to add a window. I should have done all this ahead of time. I didn't, and that's my fault. So let's go with window capture. Sorry about this. Okay, and I'm going to select a window to capture. There we go. So here's who I'm calling out. It's uh, Pramila Jayapal, Representative Jayapal. I'm calling her out for good stuff, though. It's not bad stuff. It's good stuff. There we go. So I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention. Representative Jayapal is demanding answers from Russ Vogt, the acting director of the CFPB, regarding the Bureau's ongoing push to drop pending enforcement actions involving billions of dollars in harm to American consumers. This has been an ongoing thing. We will talk about it a little bit later in the show. when we do one of our calls to action. When a corporation breaks the law, it is the federal government's responsibility to hold them accountable, penalize their wrongdoing, and get relief for the people who are harmed, wrote Giles. Unfortunately, since the beginning of the Trump administration, the CFPB has not only shut down all investigations into potential lawbreaking, it has also been quietly dismissing or rolling back settled enforcement cases. This abdication of legal responsibility rigs the system in favor of the elite, allowing the major corporations to get away with ripping off consumers and harming local communities. We don't like that. Yeah, sorry, just to address Jamil, sorry, Mega B Prime in the chat. I don't know. Said I was told oxygen would be included. We will be including oxygen as we go on. I'm gonna take a little sip of coffee. Mm, 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 mm. So thank you to Representative Congresswoman Jayapal, whatever she prefers as the title. I like Congress folk. I think we should call them Congress folk. I guess Congressperson and Congress folk. I like adding folk to everything. So, instead of fireman, or I guess firefighter is cooler there, but fire folk, that's pretty cool. Mail carrier is all right, but mail folk is pretty fun. I mean, it's still confusing with MALE. I get it. Just anything like that. I just think the word folk is underused. So also instead of guys, when people are like, "Hey guys," because it does have a masculine tinge to it, I try to say uh, "folks" if I don't say "yins," which is a Pittsburghese thing. So, anyways, that's where we're at tonight. Let's go over to the base. There they are. We're picking up right where we left off with the oxygen and including it. Let's see, we've got Remittance. We're not using Bionics, yeah, right. So Remittance is our researcher. Uh-oh, he's hungry and no food is available. Oh, okay, no, this is just because I just loaded the game. It doesn't know that food's available. As soon as I start it running, yeah, it finds the food. There's still, okay, that's a decent chunk of food. We're all right on food. We have no oxygen generator built. That's not surprising. I have a lot of algae. Algae can turn into oxygen, so that's good. We got 12 tons. That'll keep us going. We've got a bathroom set up. Here's Frank. Here's No Fees. And somewhere in the base is Dodd. There's Dodd. We got Dodd, Frank, No Fees, which is, I mean, again, asking too much, and Remittance, which is one of the products that the CFPB regulates, which is it's sending money via wire transfer kind of thing. And it's used a lot in this country, especially to wire money to people in other countries. A lot of immigrant families wire money to their families in other countries. Kind of part of the American dream thing, to come here where the economy is strong and you can make a very good living and send money, US dollars being a strong currency, back to other countries where the transfer rate is usually quite good. And that's why we have a guy named Remittance. Frank just standing there in his dinosaur pajamas. Oh, you know what? We're gonna set up Frank so that his spacesuit, his atmosphere suit, could be a dinosaur too. There we go. Okay, they're gonna go to bed now. We're gonna fast forward until they wake up. Eventually, you might put your duplicants on different shifts, which is nice because then they're not like resources go unused at night. So like, here's the research station. Nobody's doing anything with it while they sleep. So if you have a night shift for some of your duplicants, then they can, you can work them all hours of the day. And they can't unionize because I don't think they're people technically. I don't know. Read the backstory of the game. I think I need to do, this is totally off topic, but I think I need to do a short video about the movie Bugsy Malone. And you might be thinking, what's Bugsy Malone? Like the movie Bugsy with Warren Beatty? No, That's not Bugsy. That's not Bugsy Malone. That's Bugsy. It's different. Bugsy Malone is a 1976 movie. Okay. It is a gangster movie set in the 20s. All right. It is a musical. Okay. So now it's starting to shape up your mind. Okay, this might be a little bit odd, right? Well, let me tell you this. The actors are all children and adolescents playing all the characters, except then during the musical numbers, it's not kids singing. It's fully adults singing most of the songs, and then they drive around in pedal cars, and they throw pies at each other instead of using machine guns. It's pretty wild. It's just it's a big "Who is this for?" Which I guess the answer was it was actually aimed at young audiences, but it's just wild. The songs do rip, I will say. Um, the songs are quite good. The music was by Paul Williams. You know, he wrote Rainbow Connection uh, for the Muppet movie, so that's good. And he's wrote a bunch of other stuff. He's a good songwriter. So, I mean, the songs are good. Um, but, anyways, weird movie. Just a weird movie. You got your Scott Baio and your Jodie Foster in it as kids. So I mean, that's a thing. I don't know if there's any, I don't think there are any other real celebs in it. But yeah, it's just a wild movie. So, anyways, I need to do a short on Bugsy Malone. Okay, are you idling? You're idle. Okay, we need to fix that. Um, what do we need to do next? We can dig out this whole area because there's precious oxygen over there, and that's algae. We're gonna want all that. Okay. And we see we've got a real carbon dioxide pit building up here as the duplicants exhale carbon dioxide and it's sinking. And since it's heavier than oxygen, so we kind of are going to isolate the carbon dioxide more and more in the bottom of the base as we dig. Later on, there are a multitude of ways to get rid of the carbon dioxide and productive ways to do it. Right now, we're not worried about that. I don't want to expand the base too much more without airlocks because the oxygen will, of course, spread out. Gas pressure wants to equalize, which means if I dig into low pressure areas or no pressure areas, the gas from the higher pressure areas will push out into the lower pressure areas, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden your oxygen's very thin and your duplicants are very upset because they cannot breathe. Okay, we've got coal coming up. Coal generator is going to be on our list here. And I saw some coal. I thought I saw some more coal. Maybe not. There's some over here. That's probably a bunch of tons. And then we are going to have to grab a hatch eventually. And that hatch will give us a whole hatch farm. And the hatch farm will absolutely get us more coal. Because hatches eat food and poop coal. Or eat rocks and poop coal, which is even better. I'm leaving little spaces here. So the duplicants are going to dig, and then they're going to jump and dig. And basically, I'm trying to just make all this debris fall down. Managing all the debris in this game is kind of its own mini game. And so you just let it drop and drop and drop, and it's just at the bottom of your base. Your duplicates can go get it later. You can make a shipping system that brings the important things where you need them. That's later in the game too. One thing I'm looking for right now too is sedimentary rock. Um, Not seeing it. It's usually around like where there's slime and stuff. So like algae occurs in these big clumps, and often here we go. Here's some slime, algae, clay, and sedimentary rock. Great. All right, it's under this water. There's gold there too. There's gold in them there hills. Sorry, I've been watching Deadwood. If you haven't watched Deadwood, it's basically just that a lot. Oh, hey, about dang gone. Well, you just got a big pistol there, sir. That's basically Deadwood, which I love. You know, I mean, I guess some people aren't gonna like it, but I think it's genius. So let's see. We're gonna do a little landing here. At least I got. Oh no, I got like a farm. So screw these plants. We're gonna do a little landing that's about 5 blocks wide. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's build a. Let's see where the floor will go, and I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not for any good reason, just kind of the arbitrary selection I like. And we're gonna dig. And this will get us some coal for the coal generators we're going to use pretty soon. And that'll be handy. So where are we going to put our coal plant? All right. Well, we've got water here, water here. Those are both in our way. We don't have insulated tiles yet. I'm not going to build a coal generator plant until we get insulated tiles because the heat from the coal plant will go all through the vents. It will be upset. All of a sudden they're hot. Blah, blah, blah. Don't like any of that. So we're going to go build an insulated coal fire plant. Probably somewhere down here. I'm thinking over here is pretty good. There's more water, but maybe I'll just dig that out and let it fall. Again, I mentioned this last time, but I'm very tidy insofar as like I need symmetry and shapes that make sense to my brain. Otherwise, I get unhappy about the disorder. Now, Chuck, you say, how can you say that when you've just admitted to having a very messy desk? I don't know, man. It's just like, okay, so here are hatches. I don't even think we have a rancher, right? Frank, what is it? Okay, just dig that out, dummy. Woo! Okay, dumb Frank, getting stuck on the thing. But anyways, so yeah, they burrow, but I need somebody with ranching, and I definitely don't have that yet to grab the critters. So this is the skill I need, and I do not have. So, whoops, I accidentally hit the wrong button. What's that button? There it is. I accidentally told Remittance not to eat me a lice. That's nobody likes that. So anyways, it's going to be a while before I can ranch those, which is kind of unfortunate. This is the advantage of Bionics. That is an add-on for this game that gives you bionic duplicants. And the bionic duplicants learn by just having a chip implanted in their head, or in their mouth, as it were. And so you can just give them a ranching chip, and they're like, I learned Kung Fu. And then they can ranch for you. I'm going to build an oxygen generator now, because the oxygen is very thin. We can see with this. This is the oxygen this is the breathability overlay. And there is, yeah, over here it's very breathable. And everywhere else it's barely breathable, including in their bedroom. And that is not going to fly. So I'm going to start the oxygen generation. I'm also going to put these air flow tiles in, and that will let gases flow freely between these rooms. These doors don't block gas, so the gases can already come through the door, but they'll get stuck. They need to come down, and carbon dioxide is going to be the one that comes down. So if you put these vents in, it essentially lets your carbon dioxide go down, lets your oxygen come up, and also like other gases that might get mixed into your base, like methane, natural gas, hydrogen gas. They'll settle in their own places, and that makes it easier to manage all the gases. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here, and this again is just to make these bits drop when they're dug up. See, if I drop them, they're just going to drop in my farm. That's not going to make anything any cleaner. So, all right, how are we doing? You guys are going to be okay on toilets here. We don't have indoor plumbing yet. These are outhouses, not. I guess an outhouse is a toilet. That's up to you to decide. But okay, so I'm just gonna look around. I'm gonna speed up the game because they're just gonna do. They're eating. They're hanging out. They're not having any fun right now because there's no fun. I didn't build any fun centers. They're running over here because that's where the oxygen is. Enjoying some breathing for a little bit, and then they're gonna go to sleep and probably wake up and not be able to breathe. No, they're sleeping pretty soundly. That's good news. Those lines are probably that they're having problems breathing now. But they're still sleeping, so that's what's important. Oh, we gotta unlock the new blueprint. This is just generic to the game, like not this specific save, but as you play more and more of the game, you unlock new styles for their suits. And now see, they're upset about the lack of breathability. So let's turn the priority up on building that oxygenator. The oxygenator is going to use algae, which again, we have 32 tons. And that's fine. Coal, we are at 8 tons. That's not great. That we'd run through that pretty quickly if we had a coal generator going, and we don't even have a coal generator going. But there is a lot of coal up here. You can see it's like a half ton. I think when you dig this up, you get half of the mass, which I don't know the point of that, but I think that's the way it works. So this is going to be like 250 kilos each. So you're talking couple tons there. And then once I get the hatches going, they will probably make as much coal as I need. If you have like 2 hatch farms, I think you can support 3 coal generators. And this again is optimal. So you want to, you're making sure that the generators turn off when power isn't needed. So you're not just running them for no reason, building up heat and carbon dioxide just for funsies. So I always try to make sure that I have some automation set up before I start the coal power generating, because it's not just a waste of coal. That's not as big a deal. You can, like I said, generate a lot of coal pretty easily with the hatches, but the temperature management is harmed by continually running your generators. And it's just gas management too, because you just get so much carbon dioxide buildup. So we got what is a hatch? Question in the chat. This is a hatch. It's just a little guy pie. What is he? I don't know. He's a critter. Where'd he come from? Alien planets. Here we can read his entry in the database. Hatches excrete solid coal as waste that may be uncovered by digging up buried objects. Ideal temperatures, their lifespan, they live for 100 days, which is pretty good. They drop meat, which is amazing. That means when they die, which we can make happen in a couple of ways. These are all the various things they eat and then what they produce. And again, their diet is very wide. And then if we look down here, so So one thing is, if we look, you can see that the hatches produce about, I think real food, it's a little different, but if they're eating rocks, man, there's a lot of hatch entries. So they're eating sandstone. If they eat 140 kilograms of sandstone per day, which is what they want to eat, they make 70 kilograms of coal. So what you want to do is you feed them sedimentary rock. Okay. Uh, so you can also do it. You can also do sage hatches, and sage hatches are great because they make as much coal as the same mass that you feed them. The problem is they don't eat as varied a diet. Polluted dirt is pretty easy to make, um, and so you could have them live off polluted dirt, but it's not great. But I mean, if you have like extra food, um, well, they don't eat food as efficiently. This is an interesting one. Spindly grub fruit, they kind of produce more than they eat, but this is measuring calories, of course, versus weight. Still, my point is, you feed them sedimentary rock. We come down here and you get the stone hatch. The advantage of the stone hatch is it literally eats anything, um, including like igneous rock and granite, which is easy to find and feed them. There's igneous rock all over the place. So they're great because you just can feed them anything. And then there's the smooth hatch, where if you feed them ore, they poop refined metals. So feed them copper ore, they produce copper, but they're not as efficient as a smelter. So you know you can take or leave that. I don't use them, and they're hard to maintain because if you look over here, you can see this hatch right now is almost guaranteed to lay a regular hatch egg. But if I feed it sedimentary rock, this percentage will go up. And if I feed it dirt, it'll turn into a sage hatch. Dirt is another way to to feed sage hatches. Again, another thing that's easy to make. There are creatures who excrete dirt. So you can kind of get a nice cycle of this guy eats this and makes dirt, and then the sage hatch eats dirt and makes coal, and blah, blah, blah. The game has a very good in-game documentation of all the different things, like creatures and rock and temperatures that everything does what at, and it's pretty neat. But I will say the overall conventions of the game don't really lend themselves to the like. There's no manual for how do you make a good generator area. How do you make how do you cool stuff down efficiently? There's no guide on that. So you either figure it out the hard way, or you go watch some YouTube videos. And I have done the latter. Well, I've done both. I've done the former and the latter. The YouTube videos, I can say, make me a little bit happier. I'm a little less peeved when I do YouTube videos. Okay, so let's see. There's no good place right now for this alternate for where I want to put my power station. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to dig down. I'm going to upset the careful balance of water power. I'm going to introduce desert power, like in Dune. I'm going to make a new water pitcher there because I still want access to pumped water. And these guys can survive digging through a little water. They'll be fine. Their jammies might get soaked, but they'll be fine. All right, well, it's 7:30. You know what that means? We're going to pause the game because it's time for an ask. I like that. I got to move myself over a little. Sorry. Keep changing the camera crop, and it keeps messing up where I appear on the screen. All right, so we're going to do this time. I've got a Rubik's Cube. I'm going to attempt to get you on the 5calls.org while I do the Rubik's Cube. Okay. So as I said at the top, the big bill, big Bubba bill, as I like to call it, cut the CFPB's funding by almost 50%. So the way to remedy that at this point is to have another bill, like the variety of funding bills and other things that Congress passes that restores the funding. It's easy peasy, right? It's actually, how a bill becomes a law kind of thing right there. So the new um, funding cap would go into effect if a new law was passed. So there have been um, there was a continuing resolution, and we pushed Congress, and they did not put it in there. There's a National Defense Authorization Act that hasn't passed yet, but I haven't heard anybody promise to put it in there, and that is still open, so it's not too late for us to keep pushing for that. So generically, if you go to 5calls.org and you search for CFPB, you'll get a script that will give you a lot of tips and ideas about the various, asks we have for members of Congress. You have two senators and you have one representative, depending if you live in, one of the non-continental, one of the 50 actual states. Other places like territories and stuff may have a non-voting representative. I'm not that worried about it, considering, you know, I don't have millions of viewers. I don't think that. I mean, when I have millions of viewers, I'm going to have to become concerned about it. But today is not that day. So you go to 5calls.org, you look up CFPB, and it'll ask you your zip code. It'll tell you who your representative and two senators are. It'll give you their numbers. And what we're asking for you to do is call and demand that they restore the funding of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Again, there's a lot of problems going on with affordability, with the whole auto loan market right now, and a lot of people defaulting on their auto loans. That could spell trouble for other parts of the market. Um, I don't think, I mean, I'm not a professional economist or anything, but I don't think it's quite as bad as the mortgage problem we had in 2008. But there are definitely knock-on effects when a market like that is having trouble. And the CFPB is there to make sure that it doesn't destroy our entire economy and it doesn't result in billions of dollars of bailouts for banks again. Because ideally, we are examining those banks, if the CFPB is examining those banks, and making sure that they have enough capital on hand in case something bad happens to pay their debts, which is the problem that happened in 2008. So that's what we need. We need you to call your representatives and tell them to restore funding to the CFPB fully so that we can be here to protect the American consumer in the midst of this, we'll say, financial affordability crisis is the word. We're not in a financial crisis per se, but um, it could result in one. So the other thing I'll say, because I haven't finished the Rubik's Cube yet, is to if you have a problem with a bank account, a credit card, an auto loan, or um, student loan, or any of the other products that the CFPB um, regulates, you can go to consumerfinance.gov to find out more about the CFPB. You can also go to consumerfinance.gov to file a complaint. And a lot of those complaints, if not most of the complaints, receive responses from the company. And a lot of times it can help people resolve problems that they have with their servicers of their financial products. So I highly encourage people go use our complaints filing system, file a complaint. We've had more complaints this year, just a record number of complaints, more than last year, more than I think maybe ever. Um, we've taken I don't know. I don't know how many millions of complaints in the entire tenure, the 14 years the CFPB has existed. I know that we have returned over $22 billion to consumers um, through a variety of our actions against fraudsters and hucksters and whatnot. And we've helped, I want to say, over 200 million American consumers, and I should have these things written down. But I can't remember all this stuff because I have to remember how to solve a Rubik's Cube. You're impressed. Now make those calls. And if you don't make them tonight, make them tomorrow. Make them every day. Why not? Let's go back to our base. I actually have to switch the screen. I can't just alt tab over. I have to actually do the work. All right. See, look at that. I actually completed a Rubik's Cube while doing the pitch. The last couple times I've tried that, it has gone poorly, and I messed up somewhere in like the last two steps of the Rubik's Cube. Multitasking is a lie, but every once in a while you can get away with it. All right, back to oxygen. I did promise oxygen would be included, and I have to say, I'm still not doing a great job of providing oxygen to these poor schmoes. But we're seeing some pressure build up here, which is good. Really, that the bedroom being breathable is a big thing. Um, you're just wasting time if they have to like go somewhere to take breaths. When they're holding their breath, I mean, it's fine, but you want them to be able to catch their breath without having to run halfway across the ding dang map. So that is an important like management thing in this game. I'm gonna place these tiles in here, and again dig these ones out. They can all fall on the farm. It's fine, whatever. I'd rather have a messy farm. So if you look at one of the things that makes duplicants happy is decor. Here's the decor overlay. This little bug's providing a lot of decor. They love that. They like the light here and this whole thing. This bug, they're beautiful decor as well. Their bedroom sucks. Their bathroom sucks. They hate it. They hate it everywhere else. That's not a big deal early in the game, but it will become later. So we do want to keep it pretty. And debris on the floor, they don't consider that luxury. All right, let's do medicine next. All right, we completed some research. Frank got +1 to construction. That's great. Good job, Frank. This isn't our permanent farm, anyways. This is totally a temporary farm. So I'll tear apart the farm, and all this stuff will continue to fall down. But you see, like this room is just messy, and if I tell my duplicants to pick it up, and I make that like the most important thing for them to do, that is a lot of wasted effort. And while later in the game, I might be like, oh, look at all this extra duplicate labor I have. Like, I have time to do whatever I want. Right now, I don't. And I need to keep them breathing, and I need to keep them eating. New printables! All right. So this is where we get to add maybe a new duplicate, maybe some new resources. I've said this before, I have a reroll mod installed, but I'm not going to use it. So let's see. We got Nisbet, doctoring ranching. Okay, so that's good because we talked about ranching. And doctoring's not a bad thing to have because we don't have one yet. She can't cook. I can live with that. She's uncultured, so she can't decorate, but she gets an increased bonus from decor to her morale. She has increased excavation. She doesn't have the excavation skill, but that's workable. Joya seeds are just seeds for a little plant. I would take Nisbet before Joya seeds. Small bladder, not fun. That means she is going to have to go to the bathroom more often. More bathroom is less work. She's squeamish, can't doctor. That's okay. Um, Ranching, cooking, digging. That's a nice spread of skills. And again, we were talking about wanting somebody who can ranch. Bonnie is undigging, uncultured. That's not great. Excavation's a big part of the early game here. She only does researching. And we have a researcher already, so she's not gonna. Although her research skill is through the roof, and you can see how high her speed is. I don't know what our current. Actually, I can look because What is Remittance? Is Remittance our doctor or our researcher? Yeah, he's researching suit wearing. His science is only 5, so obviously Bonnie would do research a lot faster. But um, she's so limited otherwise. All right. Fireworks are going off because tonight is the local parade in town. So I'm going to briefly mute myself and I'm going to yell for my daughter to check on the dogs because they may be upset. So give me one moment to do that. I apologize, but okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have to make this decision. All right, chat, throw it in the chat. Anybody got a thought? I'll wait a minute to make any important decisions. And in the meantime, I'm going to look at the Wikipedia entry for Bugsy Malone, see who else we got. Let's see. Um, okay. John Cassisi he was apparently in I guess in is he in Fish? Yeah, he was in TV's Fish with Abe Vigoda. Let's see anybody else. Andrew Paul. I don't think he was one of the Paul brothers, but he was in EastEnders, so good for him. Jeffrey Stevens. I guess he's an English comedian and actor. Dexter Fletcher. He was in. He was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I know this guy. He's the guy in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. You know. What's his character's name in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels? I'm looking it up because I don't remember that character's name. Soap. He was also in Stardust. He was a pirate in Stardust, which I've also seen. So there you go. Most of these other ones, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen these. But so there's another person in Bugsy Malone who you might recognize. Bonnie Langford. She was also in EastEnders. Mark Curry. Nah. Jonathan Scott Taylor. And he was Damien in The Omen too. And Louise English. And she was a regular performer on the Benny Hill Show. That's a little weird, but because she would have been a kid when she was in Bugsy Malone, but then 2 years later she was probably scantily clad in the Benny Hill Show because that's how most of that worked. Anyways, that's Bugsy Malone. Again, it's a wild one. I think I should do a short video about it. Did anyone weigh in the chat? Let's see. Nisbet. We got 2 votes for Nisbet. Nisbet wins. We got to name Nisbet something else. I'm going to name Nisbet Humda. It's actually Humda, HMDA. It's the Home Mortgage Disclosures Act. It's a big responsibility that the CFPB has. I work with a lot of folks who work on Humda, especially the digital end of Humda. So Nisbet is Humda. We will redress Nisbet as soon as she gets in the game. Nisbet, you are gonna wear uh, blue dino jammies. Blue dino jammies it is. I'm sorry, her name's Humda. So Humda, so we're gonna get on that critter ranching. So to start, we're gonna get Humda improve farming, even though she doesn't like it. There's no heart there. She will be able to survive that stress. And then next time we can get her critter ranching, and then she will be able to get those hatches. Critter utilization is a huge success factor in oxygen not included. You want your critters to be, I mean, there's lots of useful critters, so you want them to be wrangled and ranch dressing. I'm going to up the priority on this dig because that will fill. You can see there's a lot of oxygen building up over here because this oxalate is turning from a solid into a gas. So we're going to dig this out so the oxygen comes this way as well and doesn't have to make this weird long trip around here. Here we got a nice mushroom growing. It's harvest ready. I think they need carbon dioxide to grow. So as soon as I crack this open, there's already a lot of polluted oxygen in here. You can see this light green's all polluted oxygen. This dark gray/black is carbon dioxide. When I open this, these dust caps are going to stop growing. So unfortunate, but it might be worth running in there just to get them. And then I'll have access to the feed fiber too. All right, next research. Let's do refinement of the kiln and the rock crusher. The rock crusher can make metal into metal ore into refined metal, but it's inefficient. So the metal refinery is much better, but takes a lot of power, and you have to run a coolant through it. So that's kind of it's a limiting factor as well. We now have 5 duplicants and 3 toilets. I would like to change that to 3 outhouses. So I'm going to try. Where you're going all the way over there for food, huh? There's muckroot. There's muckroot right here, and you picked that one. There's probably a reason you did that, and I have no idea what it is. So I maybe want to build another outhouse because outhouses fill up. You can see these little meters, and then you can see how many visits are remaining. And then next thing you know, somebody's got to go over there and plunger it, which doesn't make any sense because it's an outhouse. But plunger's not going to help you. But actually, I guess it kind of, I don't know. We can look at the animation later. Maybe it isn't a plunging animation. Oh, I forgot to build a bed. Darn it. So the new duplicant, Humda, is going to have a poor night's sleep and wake up with a sore back. And she's sleeping right underneath a light. So she's going to be absolutely miserable. Sucks. Okay. But we'll put this priority to a 7. So they will build that bed first thing in the morning. Once it's too late. While we're doing it overnight, here's what we're going to do. We're going to race. We're going to do the New York Times crossword mini and see how fastly we can do it. You can do it with me. It's Friday, December 5th, and here we go. Beaver's building project. Damn. Unit of distance originally equivalent to 1,000 paces. I believe that's the mile. Number of dwarves or deadly sins is 7. Obviously, the mini is pretty easy. Extra large film format. Oh darn! They've started. Okay, I'm skipping that one. Crosses. Parenthetical out. I'm going to switch to the down. Difficult to work with stars divas. U.S. soccer star Blank Morgan. Is that Alex? Let's say it is. 5 down, 5 across ones. 7. I don't know. Oh, you know what? It's probably 6, 7. Yes. Broadway musical about the wives of Henry VIII. 6. 48 seconds. Pretty good. Thank you for joining me for that. And now we got an extra bed, and we can just go ahead and assign Humda. We don't need to. She'll automatically use it. But saves us a little effort. Okay. I'm going to dig this up. I'm going to set the priority high. So dig that up immediately, and then we're going to build another outhouse. Over here, we're digging. I'm going to dig that out. We haven't yet busted through here. There's a lot of coal down there. Yeah, well, it'll be underwater, but my duplicants will go underwater to get it. So be it. They'll get a little damp in the process. They get unhappy when they are damp, but for the that weird noise is the hatch. So, whoa, they do. Yeah, that's a weird noise for them. They like to burrow. See, and then they come out at night, and that makes them a little bit harder to grab, but it's still excessively simple. So I'm not worried about it. We'll also grab these shine bugs eventually. Shine bugs have two main functions for me. They lay eggs, which if you crack the eggs, you get resin, which you can use to make plywood now in the latest expansion. But they also give off radiation. See, a little bit of radiation. And you can kind of pull this trick where you jam a bunch of them into a space. It's inhumane, but you jam a bunch of them into a space and use that to generate radiation, or rads as the game calls it, which you need for research and stuff in the mid game. There we go. Look, the water's draining out. This is useless, so we'll deconstruct it. Dodd is a little bit damp and unhappy. Sopping wet. Chilly surroundings. The chilly surroundings is because she's wet. And now she's going to climb right up back through the water. If she was bionic, that would be extremely upsetting to her. Bionics really don't like going through the water. So that's, again, part of the bionic regular duplicate balance. But we're not using bionics because we're trying to keep this simple. This is sand, so sand obviously fell when they were digging above, and it's not something that stays in place like this copper. Sand falls. If you've played Minecraft, it's pretty similar concept. And so I had to dig it back up because it got in my way. Let's see. Okay, now we're getting to where we need two kinds of science, and we're going to need to build a supercomputer. We have that technology down here, but I'm going to research a couple other things first because not in a big hurry. Let's see. Copy that there. Looks like that destroyed the mill wood that was there. Fine, mill wood is crappy food that the duplicates don't like. Okay, we got put a floor there, and then we can build another outhouse here. I'm gonna up the priority to 6, and I'm gonna dig out these remaining spaces. Put a tile here. Dig out this and this. Duplicants can jump one space; they can't jump 2 spaces. So now they're gonna have to build here before they can get over here. That's fine. But see, like this, now I have to rebuild that. That's where the pitcher pump was. We have a new pitcher pump here. We have water here. We can kind of conjoin it maybe later. But for now, this is fine. Later, I'll probably actually pump the water out. I'm going to do a mop action for them to clean up the remaining water that's laying on the ground there. That's just to keep them from getting sopping wet or damp, wet feet or whatever when they go through those areas. I could also just dug stuff out and let it fall because I'm going to dig all this out anyways. But I didn't. Frank's on the wheel. They're begging me to put in a power plant. Please. But I do not hear their cries. I am deaf to their pain. That's a shame. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig in here. I'm going to dig down. I'm going to dig some of this out. What's that sedimentary dirt? Oh, ceiling collapse. Not a big deal. Just, yeah. Some sand falling. Not a big deal. Okay. There was sedimentary rock down here further. I don't really need that. Where the heck was it? Sandstone. Further over here. Yeah, there it is. Okay. But whatever. I'll pop that cavern here. Get me some more shines. Shine bugs. And I'm gonna dig this out for a big old water pit. Then I'll just dig the rest of this. I'll let this waterfall, and then I'm going to put the power right about there. Why? Why am I doing all that work when I can just shove it somewhere else? Why not? I'm well fed. I got beds, oxygen, tons of algae now. Ooh, we got meat. Where's the meat? Ooh, it's down there. We can't get to it. Get to the meat! Oh, you know what? I don't have a grill, so meat's not going to be that exciting anyways. I guess they can eat it raw. Do I even have cooking? Because that's an important thing to know before I go around building a grill. Can anyone use it? Yeah, no fees has grilling. So let's get that grill operational. So the grill, what it'll do is they'll cook a variety of substances into more better foods. And those more better foods will give them more morale, a higher morale bonus. And that's just good for lots of reasons. Um, so many new patterns. See here, now we have decor. So I can start decorating the base, although I don't think I have anybody with that skill. We also need a supercomputer, so I might as well put that on the list. And I'm going to somehow run all this off of one battery. It's going to go poorly. I'm not going to hit another research button for now. We've got all the technologies we need to do the stuff we want to do right now. So that will just leave my researcher free to do other things. There's no point in researching like nuclear power when I can't do anything with it. There's no point in researching advanced technologies that I can't build yet because I don't have a source of refined metal. So until we get to that point, until we get like a real power plant, we're not running in hamster wheels to power ourselves. No point in researching everything under the sun. All right, we're doing good over here. I'm gonna build some more tiles. Oh, we've got enough bathrooms. Everybody's happy. This bedroom is no longer a bedroom, because it's too open now, and that's gonna be a bonus they could have from having a bedroom to their morale, and now they're not gonna have it because it's not an enclosed room anymore. So 64 tiles is the max size for a barracks. So we're gonna put floors and ceilings in just for nicety. They increase the decor, a nice thematic door in there, and we're gonna up the priority to 7. So tomorrow morning, that's what they're gonna do. Now they're all sleeping calmly. See, we've got an out of order outhouse now. I should prioritize that to a 6. I'm going to do that with all the outhouses. Because I want them to clean them out when they're dirty as a higher priority than just doing like all the other default tasks around the base that are 5. 5 priority. And so a 6 priority will mean, oh, the toilet's filthy. We need to go do something about that. Now, right now, these are on 7, so most of them are going to do that. I could prioritize other jobs. I haven't done that yet by saying, like, you prefer to cook. I'll tell No Fees he prefers to cook for now. That might not be good at a certain point because we already have enough food. So actually, I'm going to say don't do that. Digging, I'm going to tell Frank to dig as a higher priority because he's better at it anyways. Dodd, I'm going to put up building. I'm not going to put up digging because if there's something to build and she has the higher building skill, she's going to build it faster. So I want her to prioritize that above digging because the digging is just not. I'm not desperate for excavation at this moment. Building is far more important, and building fast is huge. So that construction skill really comes in handy. Takes a long time to build insulated tiles for duplicates that are bad at construction, and I need to make an enormous number of them to contain like the heat of the the coal fired power plant. So see now we're getting a big carbon dioxide pit down here. It's going to make it extremely difficult for them to work down here because they're just going to keep running out of oxygen. But it's not that there's nothing I can do about it now. I do have the pattern for oxygen masks. Do I? Maybe I don't. I don't have the pattern for oxygen mask stations. But I'd have to run oxygen directly into the station, and I don't have a way to pipe the oxygen that's in the base right now. It's just kind of flowing everywhere. So it's just something I'm going to have to deal with right now, and worry about it later. Again, I could just put the power station over here for now, and that might be a lot smarter. So let's see what that's like. Well, I'll leave that construction, but we still don't have insulated tiles. So actually, I do need to go back and add a research task for insulated tiles. This is now we need that but we do have a supercomputer now, so we can do that. All right, let's set recipes in the grill. If we have mushrooms, I want them to fry them. If we have meal lice, I want them to pickle them. If we have meat, I want them to barbecue it. And if we find spindly grub nuts, grub fruits, I want them to be roasted. And we'll put all that on forever. And we'll get complaints that the building lacks resources, which is annoying. But I prefer to just have those on forever because I just want them to cook whatever they find. And for now, it's probably easier to control the input of what they're going to find. Let's cook that meat up. So I'm going to set this to a priority of 6 real fast. Because that meat's down here somewhere. There it is. Nope. Hamda did not pick up the meat. Probably, if we see somebody pick up the meat, it's going to be No Fees. No Fees currently delivering water to the supercomputer because research takes water and dirt. Don't ask me. All right. No Fees is cooking some meal lice up now. You can see she grabbed a bunch of meal lice. Do you think No Fees will look better with a little hat on? I think so. I like to go to skills. No Fees. You are going to get a little chef hat. Congratulations. We didn't. I wanted to catch the animation of them cleaning the outhouse. Now No Fees got a little sushi chef hat. Everybody's in here yelling, "Yes, chef!" Having a good time. Okay. All right, it's 8 o'clock, so we're going to do our next call to action real fast. I know that you loving the duplicates. We're going to do the next call to action. We're going to go probably a little bit longer, but not too long tonight. It's Friday. I don't want to hold you back from all the partying you're probably wanting to do. So I'm just going to call on you to go to change.org/stop vote. The current acting director of the CFPB, Russell Vogt, has had some choices. He's made some choices, and lots of folks don't agree with those choices. I'd say lots of folks in our union don't agree. We're 2,000 signatures on our petition, and what we're really asking for is accountability. Now, the petition says basically that Russell vote has to go. I mean, I could see a world where maybe a shock to the system convinces Mr. Vote that he wants to change his ways. Um, but just like the most upsetting thing to me is that he ended a settlement basically telling a company, you don't have to pay this settlement that was going to return money uh, that was charged in excessive overdraft fees by the Navy Federal Credit Union. And the Navy Federal Credit Union is for veterans and their families, which means it's service members who were cheated out of this $80 million settlement that would have gone back to them. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. The Navy Federal Credit Union agreed to the settlement. I mean, it was a settlement. Um, and what about that would make you think they should keep the money? Even if you think it's unfair, maybe the amount or something. Clearly, I mean, I don't know if the settlement had the quote unquote admission of wrongdoing, but certainly there's merit in there somewhere. And with the profile of the victims being service members and their families, I don't know. Why wouldn't you double check? But as far as I can tell, he just said you don't have to pay it. I don't know. He also cut cancer research and a bunch of other stuff that I don't love. And USAID, which I feel pretty strongly is not only a good for the world, but is a very, very good for the United States. I know people say we should spend money on folks at home in the country, and I agree 100%. There is enough money to go around, though, and um, another thing that people in the United States enjoy, for instance, is cheap iPhones and other goods that come from other countries. And part of the way we maintain a world order that allows us to have those cheap goods shipped across oceans and made in factories. And we make deals with these other countries and we help them cure pandemics and help them with, for instance, the AIDS crisis in Africa. And we build goodwill around the world. And that's what allows us to create a world that has trade as a function. Now, if you're critical of free trade and stuff, I mean, sure, I'll hear you out. I mean, I think there's a lot of merit to that as well. But you have to admit that the current American lifestyle depends heavily on that sort of international order, and USAID is one of the most important ways, and actually cheapest ways that we maintain that order. Starvation is a hell of a thing. Famine is a good way to create rebel groups and factions that do terrorist actions, that stop shipping lanes, that do piracy, um, and other things that cause kind of problems with the kind of, shipment of goods that Americans like. So if you like those cheap toys that are made in Vietnam and you like diamonds and gems that are dug in Africa and all the other goods that come from all over the world, that a lot of things that we don't really pay attention to or know about, because it's such an ingrained part of our daily lives. You have to spend at least some of the money, some government money, on the efforts that maintain that order, that world. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, you can pick, but USAID, I'm bigly in favor of, and that was also cut. I mean, by Doge, but that was part of Project 2025, which has name right at the top of it. So, Mr. Vote, I reach out to you. Hey, we can all change. It doesn't have to be this way. If you want to chat about ways we could go differently into the future, you can find my uh, but I mean, if people aren't willing to convert, I mean, sometimes you do have to take more drastic actions and impeach them, fire them, or otherwise just try to focus their attentions elsewhere, give them a new position, perhaps you know at a McDonald's. I don't know. Uh, I'm not insulting McDonald's, just saying maybe Mr. Vote would like to make hamburgers instead. He could do it at a different. I mean, Shake Shack is a great burger place too. But maybe if he made some burgers, he'd feel a little bit, more fulfilled, and he wouldn't have to go around like I don't know. It just feels like hurting people. I don't get that. Yeah, I don't get it. But I'm not here to psychologically analyze anyone. We're just moving on. These are just random thoughts dripping from my brain. Let's go back to the base. I'm gonna finish my coffee. Mm, mm, mm. Product placement. They're not paying me though, so product unplacement. All right, I was out. I just decided quick Dunkin' run. Who doesn't love Dunkin'? I mean, probably lots of people. I don't know the people. I guess there's probably people who prefer Krispy Kreme, and I don't get that at all. I do not like the Krispy Kreme. I haven't had it in a while now, but the last time I had it, I swear, there's so much sugar on those glazed donuts that it crunches. That's just not right. Also, I don't like a glazed donut. That's again, even a regular glazed donut's a little too crunchy. Like even a, grocery store glazed donut's too crunchy. But it feels like Krispy Kreme really tries to make a mark in the crunchiness of glazed donuts. All right. Oh, Frank's going off on his own. What's he doing? Oh, he's getting a meal lice. All right. So what's our next project here? I try to keep it to one project at a time. Let's enclose the bathroom as it is kind of known. And we'll put another wash station up just because if there's two duplicants coming out of the restroom, I want them to both be able to wash their hands. All right. Nothing exciting is happening right now. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to switch this left because I'm only worried about them when they're coming this way. I mean, even though they could theoretically, I mean, there's no, they have to go back through this way. Doesn't matter what they're doing over here. They can't get down. They can't get up. So for now, this is fine. Often, you want to kind of figure out how the traffic's going to flow through the bathroom, so they're washing their hands at the right time. But eventually, when we have plumbing, it all becomes a little easier to manage. We run pipes through the place, and wash stations on either side of the room. It's all great. Okay, we're getting a nice passage through here. We're filling up the area with oxygen pretty good, but again, if we dig too far, we're gonna get less and less dense. Okay, this carbon dioxide pit pressure is good. Meaning, it's like if 500 grams more carbon dioxide can go in there, so that's good. You can start to see the oxygen sneaking down here, and again, we're still pushing it out. So at a certain, if the pressure gets high enough, this will actually shut down because it can't overcome the pressure. We're not near that yet. So this sucker will keep going, filling everything up. Right now, I don't have a warning over here, which means processing, which is good for us right now. Long term, we're going to use a machine that turns water into oxygen and hydrogen, but that isn't today. And that's a real heat control issue because those machines heat up as they do that work, and then they make the oxygen that comes out very warm, and it heats up your base. Gas is not an efficient way to transfer heat, so it doesn't heat up your base as fast as other things will, but it still heats up your base, and then you're looking at like plants that won't grow and stuff like that. It takes a lot of heat before your duplicants start to like get hurt by it. Oh yeah, duplicate ate a cooked meal. But it doesn't take a lot of heat before plants are like, nope, I can't do this anymore. Go hatches. It's your birthday. You don't want to walk around like it's your birthday. You don't want to talk about you like it's your birthday. And we don't flub a flub, it's not your birthday. You can find me in the club. Bottle full of bub. I think you all know that. So this is our natural gas geyser. We're not ready to grab that yet. I talked about this before, but there's a little bit of a heat issue because natural gas comes out at 150 degrees Celsius, which is too hot for gas, air pumps, gas pumps that are made out of the basic metal ores. So you have to go up to steel, which is expensive, or you kind of like have to, find another way to regulate the heat that's building up in there. It's not that hard because you can go up to 125 degrees Celsius with a gold amalgam gas pump, and that gets you close. So if you could just cool it down a little, it's easy to manage. But for the first part of the game, we'll have an easy time just with coal. And the coal will get us probably into some steel. I'm looking around to see if there's iron ore hiding anywhere because we'll need the iron to make the steel. Ooh, we have our first. So here's a geyser up here. Okay. You can tell by this neutronium, this 4 neutronium, that there's a geyser there. So normally I'd have to dig up there. I mean, not, the straightforward way to find out what that geyser is to dig up there and expose it, and then I can look at it. But there is a trick, and I'm just going to use the trick because this is not like a serious business game. What you do is you use the priority, and you set to top priority. You select it. This is basically the this job or task here is the analyze the geyser task. So I'm going to set the priority on that task to top priority. Now we get a yellow alert symbol. I can mouse over the yellow alert and click on it. That is a saltwater geyser. Boo! So it's great because you get water, but what's the yeah, the water comes out at 95 degrees Celsius. So you got to find a way to calm that down. Oh, you know what? I need to set the priority back to 5. I'm gonna have that alert up. So that's not that exciting for our first geyser. There's a lot. Well, I guess it's our second because this natural gas geyser is first. We have here's some iron ore down here. We have unlimited salt water at 95 degrees. Not great. So what we will probably do with that is set up a thing where the salt water comes out at 95 degrees, and there's a machine in the room with the geyser. That machine cools down some other liquid. Ooh, we got idle, guys. I don't like that. So the machine cools down a different liquid, which makes the machine very hot. It's the thermoregulator, aqua tuner. So the aqua tuner takes heat out of the water, which makes the aqua tuner hot. You put the aqua tuner in the room with the geyser, and the aqua tuner is made out of steel, so it can withstand high temperatures. And you just tell that aqua tuner to cool down some liquid as much as it needs. The aqua tuner is cooling the liquid, and going well over 100 degrees Celsius. The geyser spits out salt water that's 95 degrees Celsius. The boiling point of the salt water is slightly higher because it's salt water. So it's not 100 degrees Celsius. It's, let's see, salt water is, oh, actually, it's lower, 99.7. So sorry, the freezing temperature is lower of salt water. But salt water to steam and salt is 99.7. Regardless, we're going to heat up that salt water that comes out of the geyser, turn it into steam and salt. The salt will just take out of the geyser room and dump it somewhere. It'll have to be cooled down, but it could eventually be used for something else because it'll come out at 90 some degrees, which is not ideal, but we can, yeah, that's something to worry about later. Um, the the steam will power a steam turbine. One thing we can do with the salt, since it's very hot, is um, move it around the. Well, if we move it around the room with the steam, it's going to just absorb heat in all likelihood because it's probably not. It probably isn't going to start out as hot as the steam. So we probably want to move it out of the room as soon as possible. But we could move it past other things that have been cooled by the liquid coming out of the aqua tuner. So as the aqua tuner is cooling, it's also cooling the salt, so we could throw the salt somewhere we can use it. There aren't many uses for salt, though. So we can click on the salt and see that salt is good for um, mixing with water to make salt water, which we've already got. You can mix it with gold to make bleach stone. You can make table salt with it, or you can use it to deoxidize rust and get iron ore, chlorine gas, and oxygen. We don't have a big source of rust in all likelihood, so that gives us almost nothing to do with our salt. So what will we do with the salt? Possibly just dump it into space. But that's a long-term problem that we are not worried about right now. All right, let's get back to the game and not worry about our salt problem. We can't make furniture out of salt. We can't make machines out of salt. We got another. I didn't do anything about the idleness. I should get smarter, possibly. All right, let's dig up all these plants. Let's put a floor in here. This is 64. Let's do 4 and let's do 4, and let's have a ladder running down here. Let's deconstruct this. And this is going to be another kind of access area over there. A place for the duplicates to go up and down. Actually, do I want them on that? Yeah, it's fine. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I worry too much about base organization. It's like day 12. Okay. I gotta decide where I'm gonna put the generator room after all. I want a nice wide space. I could put it here. That is a nice wide space. I still don't have insulating tiles. I don't have a farm room. So, yeah, maybe we don't worry about that yet. Maybe we just switch to a spindly grub fruit diet. So what I'm going to do is make an enormous room that's just a bunch of farm tiles. Spindly grub fruit and grub fruit are not like a miracle food or anything. They are generally better than the meal lice. But what you have as an advantage is these little guys. Where are those little guys? Usually there's little guys somewhere on the map. Sweetles, which I don't see any. There are almost always Sweetles to be found. Oh, there we go. Here are Sweetles. Sweetles have a special power where they excrete sucrose and they eat Sulfur, whatever. The point is, we probably have some sulfur laying around. I don't know yet, but they turn into meat. Who cares? You can feed them to a different creature. Doesn't matter. Whatever. They sometimes lay eggs that are grub eggs, and the grub, which essentially comes from the sweetle, fertilizes grub fruit plants. That means the grub fruit plants sometimes produce spindly grub fruits, which are better than just regular grub fruits. There's spindly grub fruits. They also get plant husks, but who cares? Is that all that they produce? Oh, okay. Sorry. A grub fruit plant is a plant that a grub fruit plant has first after being tended by a. Okay, I'm a little bit lost, but regardless, grub fruit plants, when there are grubs, make grub fruits that are edible. Here's the grub fruit. Sorry. Yeah. So grub fruit plants, you put sulfur in them, you get grub fruit, which is poor quality. Sometimes they produce high quality grub fruits, which are the spindly grub fruits. And spindly grub fruits are better quality food and can be made into roast spindly grub fruit, which is a little bit better. All right, sorry, I took a long time on that. But the point is these guys come along, they make the grub fruits grow really fast, and they also drop meat, and a lot of meat, 4,800 kilocalories. Meat is a great amount. And it's a self-sustaining, pretty easy to maintain thing as long as there's sulfur. I don't know, but let's see. Okay, we have not found sulfur on this map. So actually, this is a crap plan. So we're going to close that off for now. Terrible plan. What a terrible idea, Chuck. You've never played this game before, it seems like. Here's some sulfur over here. So once we get a little starting nugget of sulfur, it's not too hard. There are... So, yeah, there's something that produces sulfur, and I've forgotten what it is. Doesn't matter. All right, we're at 8:30, so it might be about time for us to leave our friends behind, because our friends don't dance. And if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. But we do have insulated tiles now, so we know exactly what we're going to be doing next time. I'm going to build a deodorizer. I'm going to research the deodorizer and the mechanized airlock. There's a carbon skimmer that'll also we can get rid of carbon that way, but I'm not worried about that just yet. So that's going to be our next research. And now we have insulated tiles, so we can build that power plant. And I think we can build it in this area. So it's going to be like here. We're going to have to eliminate some of these, which is fine. I can rebuild those elsewhere, or even make a better farm that makes better food. Right now, we're okay in the business. And then what we're going to do is cancel this. I'm going to just start to shape this area with insulated tile made of igneous rock. Go all the way over there, all the way over. Oh, and we ran out of igneous rock. Okay, that's fine. This is igneous rock here. We're just going to dig this up before we worry about finishing it. We'll dig this out, and yeah, and the sand is gonna absolutely suck. So we're gonna, let's see, is there enough igneous rock for me to build one thing? Okay, and then dig those out, and then we'll do the same digging of every other space so our duplicates can hop over, build this area. By the time they get over here, we'll have enough igneous rock to build more of the insulated tile. I don't have to make the insulated tile out of igneous rock, but it's just a good use for igneous rock, which otherwise isn't that great. Sandstone has a decorative bonus, so it's good to use for just tiles, regular tiles, and stuff like that. Insulated tile is not a good decorative tile. It has a -5, so making it out of like sandstone doesn't really help that much. So you might as well just make it out of igneous rock, which has a slightly higher heat capacity. There's slightly slower heating, whatever. But the point is, it's otherwise just kind of waste rock again, which is why we want to feed it to stone hatches eventually. All right, that's it. That's all for tonight. So let's go back over here. Okay, thank you. I'm going to let's do that last thing. 5 calls over. There you go. You can just go and search for CFPB. You don't have to copy down this long URL. It's fine. And there's another script at ntu335.org/script. Call those senators, call your representative, tell them to restore the funding to the CFPB back to its original values. And that would be great. Again, thanks to Congressperson. Uh, I want to make sure I say this right. Try to get people's names right. Pramila Jayapal. Thanks very much to her for her support. Thanks to all you for your support. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week with more Save the CFPB live stream. Remember, if you want to join the fan club, get 5 people to subscribe to the channel, and you are a member of the fan club. If you get 10 people to subscribe to the channel, you are a fan of the fan club. We do this all on the honor system, so you don't need to tell me. If you say that you did it, I believe you, and thank you. And that's all for tonight. Thanks so much. Stay tuned. Go back and watch previous episodes. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I didn't say it enough or at all in this episode, so like and subscribe. And maybe like and subscribe. All right, folks. I'll talk to you later. Let's get that music going so I can leave. Can't leave until I hear the music. It's on. I should make more. Because if you just listen, it's like there's a beat, there's a rhythm. I mean, it's background music, so it's not that bad. But any melody whatsoever would be like a saxophone. All right, later, folks.